I don't know if I've ever done this before. I'm gonna have to go ahead right now and put Clemson over here on the table of disappointment. In spring, did anybody watch that disaster of a spring game yesterday that the Clemson Tater Man put on? Good morning, it's Uncle Lou here. How you doing, Taters? Man, I might have been wrong. I found myself defending Clemson over the last 4 or 5 months when people were talking about, oh my God, Clemson's horrible, they're terrible, their run is over, they're going back to being a nothing program. And I was like, people need to calm down. People need to calm down. They've had 5 or 6 elite years in a row. And even last year, they were 10-3, and people are acting like they're 6-6. Like, yeah, the offense was bad last year, but there's no way it can be that bad 2 years in a row. I might have been wrong on all counts. Clemson's offense looks non-existent. I mean, it's absolutely horrible. DJ Ukelele, okay, he lost 15 pounds. What did he do? You know what he didn't do? Learn how to throw the football. The guy is terrible. How do you complete less than 50% of your passes in a friggin' spring game where defensive linemen and linebackers and all that can't even touch you as a QB? As soon as they get within 2 yards of you, they whistle the thing dead. How are you out here completing 40% of your passes in an exhibition against a team that you throw against every single day? And it's not like the receivers were just getting locked down. I mean, he would throw the football and you couldn't tell if it was a kick, a punt, a kickoff, a field goal, an extra point, a punt, or a pass. I mean, wobbling around, 10 yards over receivers' heads, underthrown, overthrown, off to the left, off to the right, throwing it at people's feet. I mean, the guy's absolutely horrible. And the offensive line was terrible. And I know, look, yes, okay, great. Clemson's got a great defense. I know that. Everyone knows that. Their defensive front's going to be one of the best in football. You know who else has a defensive front that's going to be one of the best in football? Georgia. Watch their spring game this coming Saturday. Let me know if any of our quarterbacks complete less than 50% of their passes. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to happen. DJ Ukelele is absolutely horrible. And that freshman, Cole Klubnik, a little bit better, but he was playing against a second-team defense. What did he complete? 55% of his passes or something like that? And he didn't look amazing either. Now, he's a true freshman. He can only get better. People forget because the Ukelele, last year was the first year he was the full-time starter. So I think people forget. The dude's a senior. I mean, that dude's been at Clemson forever, and he's absolutely horrible. The offensive line is pathetic. I wonder if there's any offensive line in the transfer portal. Well, I know. You know who doesn't know if there is? Dabo Swinney, because he's not interested. Well, actually, Dabo Swinney did say last week that he plans on taking as in one offensive lineman out of the portal after spring practice. And then, of course, he had to give his big speech about how transferring is ruining the game. And he was like, the only reason I'm going into the transfer portal to get an offensive lineman is because we're short on offensive linemen. Well, duh. That's why everyone goes into the portal. You go into the portal to get what you need. This idea that Dabo has in his head that, I'm not going to go into the portal because I would rather promote somebody who chose Clemson out of high school and give them an opportunity than rather go to the portal. That's great. I mean, that's awesome. I'm sure that below average player that you're promoting to the offensive line because he was dumb enough to sign with Clemson out of high school, I'm sure he appreciates that. But when you end up with a terrible offensive line again, don't come crying. I don't know what Clemson's going to do. I don't want to completely knock on. Look, the defense, unbelievable. Everyone knew that already, though. And people say, oh, it's just a spring game. Lou, don't over-exaggerate. I know it's just a spring game. And you can't take exactly what you see in a spring game and transfer that to the season. But after the putrid Clemson offense that we were subjected to in 2021, I know Clemson fans. Now, maybe some of them are going to try to hide or lie now, but all offseason, talking to Clemson fans and reading Clemson fans' comments, they have been looking forward to the spring game because they want to see how the offense has improved. Well, let me tell you something right now. If you tuned into the spring game yesterday with doubts about Clemson's offense, nothing happened in the spring game to ease those doubts. If anything, you're even more concerned now than you were before the spring game. The running back looked good, Maffa. Will Shipley was out. He didn't play. And they had a wide receiver, Ngata, that looked pretty good. outside of that, it's hard to find a whole lot of talent on that Clemson offense. I'm just going to be honest. From the quarterback positions to the offensive line, not good. Not good. And, they got a new offensive coordinator. So, you know what that means? Now I think they promoted from within. So a lot of the stuff is probably the same as far as terminology and stuff like that. But still, when someone gets promoted offensive coordinator, they're going to want to change some things, put their own stamp on the offense. So there's a learning curve involved here. And it just looked discombobulated. I read several articles today from pro-Clemson sites. ClemsonTigers.com and what's the other big one? The Tiger Paw, whatever it is. There's a couple of big Clemson message board sites that have been around forever. I spent about an hour reading on there earlier, so I don't know what the Clemson fans are going to show up on this video and say in my comment section when they know other people are looking. But when you go look at what Clemson people are saying on Clemson boards, they're not very confident. They're not very confident, and they're less confident in the ukulele. The thing about the ukulele is we've seen him for a complete season, and now we've seen him in a spring game really look no better than he looked last year. We don't really know, or Clemson fans don't really know, no one really knows what you would get if you started Cole Klubnik. But I think we all know what you're going to get if you start DJ Ukelele, and that is way below average quarterback play, especially considering what Clemson is used to over the last 5, 6, 7 years, really going all the way back to Taj Boyd. Taj Boyd, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, and now DJ Ukelele? No. And it's not helping matters any that his dad is, I guess his dad is basically an internet troll, the ukulele's dad, and I guess the ukulele's got a younger son that's in high school, or the ukulele's got a younger brother that's in high school, and Clemson's recruiting him too, and the ukulele's dad was all over Twitter last week leading up to the spring game, basically clowning the Clemson coaches. Why haven't the Clemson coaches contacted my younger son, and yada, blah, blah, blah. Not a good look. And then your older son, who is on Clemson's team, comes out and lays an absolute egg in the spring game. And, if it wasn't for last year, maybe you just go, well, it was an off day, injuries, whatever. But here's the thing, and I know you have injuries. Every team right now has injuries. Georgia's got players that are still injured from last season, and then, of course, you have the new injuries that have occurred during off-season workouts and spring practice. But here's the thing, guess what's going to happen during the season? Injuries. Unfortunately, in football, people get injured. Hell, half Georgia's team missed the majority of the season last year, and we still somehow managed to win a national championship. Clemson gets a couple of injured offensive linemen. They can't complete a pass. It's I don't know. It does not look good for Clemson offensively based on what we have seen this spring. And that's especially surprising considering the fact that Dabo Swinney and the Clemson coaches have been doing nothing the last 3 weeks but pumping rainbows, sunshine, and unicorns out of every press conference they've done about how good the ukulele looks and how good Cole Klubnik looks. Well, let me ask you something. In practice, who are they practicing against? Because this is what I keep hearing. Well, Clemson's defense is good, so no wonder the ukulele struggled. Well, when Dabo gives all these press conferences the last 2 or 3 weeks about how great the ukulele looks in practice, who's he practicing against? It's the same damn people he played against in the spring game on Saturday. The reality is that Clemson's offense, I don't know if it's going to be much better than last year. It certainly did not look like it in the spring game. And the ukulele looks like he has not gotten any better at all. Other than looking at him and being able to tell that he's not quite as fat as he was last year, he looks like the same ukulele we laughed at all last season. He looks uncomfortable in the pocket. He looks confused at times. He looks unsure on his throws. He throws a lot of just lob balls down the sideline where you just kind of close your eyes and pray that your receiver can go up and make a play. Very few times during that spring game did the ukulele make a throw where you went, wow, now that was a good throw. That was a good throw. Threading the needle or putting the ball on a rope over the middle or on a deep out route. Nothing. A lot of underneath stuff to the running back out of the backfield. Kind of like curl routes where the running back kind of swings out of the backfield and catches the ball right behind the linebackers. Swing routes out in space. I would be extremely worried if I was a Tater man. Of course, I ain't no Tater man. That would be silly, but I would be really worried. Clemson did not look good. Clemson did not look good. And I'm telling you, you know whose offense is going to be looking good? Wake Forest, NC State, Miami, Pitt. Now, Clemson's got better defenses than all those teams, but man, I am less confident today in picking Clemson to win the ACC this year than I was before that spring game yesterday. They look like total doo-doo.